Marty, people don't like kings. People don't like kings. And you know
No.
what? Across the United States, there are protests all over the place. And I support this. I don't think we should have kings. And I don't think the United States has been celebrating no kings since 1776. So let's get to the roots of the United States and celebrate 1776. Now, for those in Canada, apparently, didn't get the memo. We have a king.
Yeah, yeah. He's on. He's hang on. I think he's on the $20 bill. Oh, no,
Have you
actually,
gotten
no,
the new
maybe not.
money?
No, I don't. I mean, we had a queen,
We still
but
got
we,
the
we
queen.
will have a king eventually on the dollars or whatever. Yeah, yeah. We yes, folks, we have a king. God.
And there's some people that are like a bit of backlash because I tweeted this out and I'm going to share this because this is just, it's way too funny for me. But Canada Hates Trump, a Twitter page is dedicated to the Trump derangement syndrome here on this side of the border. Says, no Kings protest happening in Toronto. No Kings October 18th. Canada Hates Trump. I had to just make a reminder to people, just a reminder to all those Canadians doing the No Kings protest thing. Canada has a king. Yes, this place is that retarded. It really is. There was a lot of people pushing back saying, no, they're calling it the no tyrants thing outside of the U.S., largely because we have a king. But nope, nope. A lot of them are saying no kings protest. This is a thing. And you know what's funny about this, Marty, in my estimate, is this is getting recycled because this was a protest that happened a little while ago and it got thwarted by law authorities in Los Angeles. It got thwarted by the sheriffs in Florida, which are some of my very favorite sheriffs in all of America. But basically, that got shut down. It's being recycled because there's no more thing to protest in Palestine.
Oh, it, I'm not sure, but yes, no, I know where you're going with this. I mean, these you're basically they're professional protesters, right? They're
Yeah.
professional. They're just adopting whatever the flavor of the week is without even thinking. I mean, when I see that, the one I always fall back onto is the old chickens for KFC kind of joke, right? Like that's literally gays for Palestine. I mean, if you're gay and supporting Palestine, like I got news for you. Like you really, really, really should go visit and see what you're protesting. Go try that over there. Gays for Islam, that kind of thing. So yes, like a bunch of old ladies.
Marty, you have no
Yeah.
idea. They're throwing parties, man. They're flying off the rooftops. They're having such a great time.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, put a little bit of context. I mean, what happened in the U.S. this week? I mean, Donald Trump, God, like Donald Trump signs a peace deal, like a monumental peace deal, massive, and people still want to try and protest him. So they're running out of ideas of what do you protest Donald for, and now it got a bit of traction. I was surprised. I mean, the crowds were big, but people came up with this no kings theme as if Donald was acting like a king. Like I like okay, and then those are the same people who probably in a month from now will protest the First Amendment or the Second Amendment or some other amendment, right? Like so
I don't know if they would ever protest for this Second Amendment. Oh, you're saying against the Second Amendment.
they'll protest against it, right? They're the ones who'll go,
Right.
oh, we shouldn't have a Second Amendment. You shouldn't be allowed to have guns. It's like, well, the reason the Americans have guns is because they kicked out the king and the tyrants, and they understand the importance of. And so you're
You know,
yeah, they're barking up wrong. I mean, I watched that and I just watched an amusement like that whole protest.
Well, if they're going to protest against the Second Amendment, I mean, it's a quick move right up into Canada. There is no Second Amendment in Canada, and they can see just how good all these gun laws have been doing for gun crime, which is absolutely on the rise. I mean, it's up, I think, 50% over the last 10 years. That's pretty huge for gun crime. Violent crimes up overall. It's absolutely a thing. A lot of people, myself included, would like to look at it as the more guns there are, the less crime there would be, especially in the hands of legal gun owners, especially in a place where the Second Amendment's a thing and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about protecting yourself with the use of a firearm. that really thwarts. In fact, if you look at the United States and the places that have more guns per capita, and I mean law-abiding citizens with guns, you have a lot less gun crime. You have a lot less violent crime. You have just a lot less crime overall. So I'm a big proponent of just have that.
Actually, that's it's always an interesting stat, right? Like I've seen the macro level stat that says the Americans have a high gun crime rate. It's like, okay, sure. America, the whole country, has a higher gun crime rate than Canada, let's say. But when you break it down state by state by state, there's an inverse correlation. Like the states with the strictest gun laws have the highest the highest crime rate. Like it's so you can't. Yes, as a whole, the Americans are a little more violent than Canadians. But boy, when you break it down, you realize like, the state of Illinois is a lot more violent than the state of Texas, as an example. It's a truly inverse correlation. By the way,
Which
did
is
you see,
before we segue onto
Sure.
something else? Did you hear the news today? I didn't have this queued up, but Glock is discontinuing like almost all their handguns. Yeah, this is
because
news.
they're being overtaken by CZ and other companies. And
No, it's not because they're being overtaken. Glock is still the most popular handgun in America. It is massively popular. In fact, I'm gonna pop this open right here. I didn't know we were gonna get into this so quick. Gunmaker Glock is discontinuing models amid switch lawsuits nationwide. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a switch is, but a switch is a device you can even print on a 3D printer, where on a Glock on the back strap, like on the very back of the slide, there's a plastic piece that can come off, and you can replace it with this piece, and it's basically a switch for an auto sear. Right. And there's the main culprit here is Gavin Newsom's California, that is suing Glock. They're going after Glock, targeting Glock, saying that they're the ones responsible for people modifying their firearms and making them essentially illegal submachine guns. They're a machine pistol at that point. It's illegal to do this modification, but now they're trying to go after the manufacturer. And because of this, Glock is discontinuing the Glock 17, the Glock 19, like all of the big ones, I think, except 3 models. There's 3 models that are staying, the 48, 48X, and another one. That's it.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that. I mean, I could understand if they were discontinuing sales in the U.S., but not worldwide. I mean, it is like you said, it's one of the most popular gun manufacturers. I mean, police forces all over the U.S. use Glocks. So
that's right.
I'll have to read more about that, but I'm surprised to hear that. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. So. I mean, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. I mean, Americans are a very what's the word? Litigious nation.
Litigious.
They like to sue the crap out of each other. No, I wasn't ready to segue away from that topic. What I was going to say is there was good news on the gun front in Canada this week. Today, the government of Saskatchewan had a new throne speech. I'm not sure why. They're starting a new session in Saskatchewan, and so you can easily find a clip of the throne speech of the government of Saskatchewan saying they're going to reinforce. They're slamming the Liberals for their gun grab. So clearly in the throne speech of the Liberals, if you look up the CCFR website and then Saskatchewan or something like that, I'm sure it'll come up real quick. You'll hear the Governor General or the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan talking about how Saskatchewan is taking the lead alongside Alberta.
Yeah, I'll pop this up. Sorry, I just made that
Okay,
noise.
go ahead. Yeah, play it real quick.
Continues to move forward with its ill-conceived gun buyback program that will take firearms away from responsible, law-abiding gun owners while doing nothing to reduce firearm-related crime. During this session, we will amend the Saskatchewan Firearms Act to protect Saskatchewan gun owners from financial liability resulting from federal firearm prohibitions and preserve their right to receive fair compensation.
So this is good news. So
what does that mean, though? Financial liability, not property rights. They're not saying we're going to make sure you're allowed to keep your property.
No, well, I mean, we need to see the details. Alberta, we talked about this a while ago. Danielle's doing the same thing. Like they're gonna say they're gonna challenge the federal government and say you can legislate who.
Oh, we lost your audio, Marty. Just as you're getting that back. Yeah, I'm absolutely. When it comes to, because at the end of the day, this is a property rights issue. In British Columbia, we're seeing property rights really being thwarted. Where do you think this is going?
It's going. Alberta and Saskatchewan are going to pass a bill that says you can't take away our rights, our property rights, and maybe you're right. Maybe they'll have to give us further property rights, but I mean, I don't know the details, but it was interesting to see. You know, this is just ammunition to. It just shows that Carney and the Liberals' gun grab is unpopular. I mean, they're gonna have to capitulate on that. I mean, the other thing I guess they formally announced this week that the pilot program in Cape Breton was a total disaster. Nobody turned in their guns in Cape Breton. So
that's so good.
Yeah. So no. I just, I mean, that's not the topic of today's show, but no. It's another failure by the Liberals. It's a failure by the Liberals.
Well, and the Liberals are failures. I mean, we got Mark Carney today with was a failure of a slogan. What the heck was this? I mean, I'll just play the clip. You explain it to me because I hadn't seen this before we started filming.
Mr. Speaker, there's no I in team, but apparently there's an I in conservative. Oh! Team in conservative. There's a team on these benches.
What does that even mean? What was so? What is this? A speech to the nation, and he's telling people.
No, this was before the speech to the nation. So Carney went back to the House of Commons today, and him and Poilievre had it like it was ugly. So Carney literally needed to sit down and compose himself because he was being humiliated, and that's what he did. So he steps back up. He's like, "Oh, I know what I'm going to say." And you've heard that expression, right? There's no I, like personal, like there's no I in team, right?
Yeah.
So he thought he was going to be clever. Apparently, there's no I in team, but there's an I in conservative. It's like, yeah, but there's also an I in liberal.
Liberal.
So
yeah.
so like everybody started laughing, going like, "Where?" And then he's like, "Sit down again, buddy. Just lick your wounds and don't worry about it." But he was prepping. I mean, he went on the national stage. I guess about 2 hours ago, he did a State of the Union address. They're in trouble. Like he had his weird announcements last week. He's prepping us for a budget. The parliamentary budget officer has been doing the rounds. I'm surprised. God bless the current parliamentary budget officer, by the way. I mean, Yves Giroux, the last one, tried to raise alarm bells, couldn't. Yep. He went as far as he could. He's supposed to be nonpartisan, so he raised alarm bells. His term expired, so that's like people said, "Oh, he got fired." No, he didn't get fired. The parliamentary budget officer is appointed for a 5-year term. He's done. So right now,
that's how it should go everywhere in government. I don't know.
Yeah, another liberal failure. I mean, his term expired and they have nobody ready to replace him. They're doing a search. You'd think you'd have somebody ready, but so the parliamentary budget officer that we have right now is an interim parliamentary budget officer. God bless him, because he knows he's not in there for long. So he's raising alarm bells. He's actually doing the circuit. He's been on the news, like saying, the fall economic statement was disastrous. Next week's budget's going to be disastrous. The promises, blah blah blah. So he's doing a great job, and yeah, Carney's floundering all over the place. I mean, he went and did a public a State of the Union address today on national TV, and basically he said, "I've been in power for 8 months now, elected for 6, and I've done nothing." Okay, well, at least you're honest. Like he's done nothing.
And they've promised the budget, so this has been the laughing stock of everybody for the last while is the budget. Yeah, we promise we'll get one in November. We didn't even get one last fall, right? We've been waiting how long for a budget, and now we're coming up where we're gonna get a budget this November 4th. In fact,
yeah. And by the way, folks, like, Canada's budget cycle is April to April, like April 1st to April 1st, right? You and I, most Canadians, do January to January, but because Parliament doesn't sit for much of the summer, what's supposed to happen is in the fall. That's why that's why there's a fall economic statement. So what we should be doing right now as the parliamentarians is they should be preparing for the next budget cycle. But our budget runs from April to April. It is November. It is October 20th. The Liberals are going to deliver a budget on November 4th, which is a full 7 months after they should have delivered the budget.
It's unbelievable. So yeah, here's the website, Canada's new
Yeah.
government to release budget 2025 on November 4th, 2025. So just before the year's over, we're going to get the budget for the year.
Yep.
And I mean, it's unbelievable. And so, of course, here comes the speculation. Here comes everybody talking about this. You know, National Post saying government worries over potential election after Bloc Conservative budget demands. Carney government is set to table his first budget on November 4th. Blah, 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 blah. Here comes all the calls of, it's going to be an election. This is what's going to happen. What do you think? Because this, I'm sure if you
we've been there
me,
before,
gonna,
right? I mean, we right now the rumors are crazy, right? So,
and that's all I think they are is rumors.
yeah, I mean, like, okay, so the way it's supposed to work is they should have presented the. Remember back in, let's go back in October, just before Parliament got prorogued. Remember how Trudeau wanted Chrystia to publish the fall economic statement, and she's like, well, you're firing me as minister, so I'm not going to take the fall, and I'm not going to do it, right?
Yep.
The fall economic statement from last year is the piece of paper that parliamentarians are supposed to look at and start thinking about the budget, and then that leads into there should have been a budget presented to Parliament on April 1st that they should have voted on. And once they have the budget, then the budget is only a plan, by the way. The budget's only a plan. And after they have the budget, then you vote every quarter on the funds, the appropriation. So far, our House of Commons passed Bill C6 and C7, approved funds to keep government running, but they had no plan. Like you're supposed to look at a budget and say, what am I approving here? But none of that happened. So we're way behind the eight ball. And so we're getting the budget next week. What was the question you said? So
the whole speculation here is because a budget, when the budget gets passed or doesn't get passed, it's a confidence vote. So if the budget doesn't pass, we go to an election. That's the way it's framed,
well,
right?
a budget is supposed to be a confidence vote is at the discretion of the Speaker of the House and the House in general. But we, by tradition, all money matters have always been, budgets in particular, have always been confidence votes. We haven't had a budget vote since April 2023. We're like past.
And that's why. It's because
because we're breaking the rules.
But here's what I've been attesting, right? This is what I've been saying is the way it's going to go. And that's that the Bloc Québécois know that they'll get a whole lot of goodies if they vote along with the Liberals. If they don't vote with the Liberals and they defeat the government and it goes to an election and the Conservatives get in, they are not going to get any goodies ever again. The Conservatives are not going to give them the goodies that they want, like the Liberals are going to give them the goodies. And this is where Blanchette has come to the table, and he's talking about this. He's made demands.
He made six demands.
This is what he says.
The 6 demands that you're putting forward, is that contingent on the Bloc voting in favor of the bill? Do you have to get all 6 to get a yes vote?
You know what? Those demands from the Bloc, which are absolute conditions, have been known
absolute conditions. We've heard this before, eh? Absolute
he
conditions.
said this last year. He said this when we were talking about defeating before Trudeau prorogued. He said the same thing.
Yeah, same thing every time.
Since before the election, they always knew what we stand for. We say this is what we want. They knew it. So instead of sending ministers in the always of the parliament to cry about the fact that we do not help them, which is not our job is to help Quebecers, they should say, okay, we will consider what you ask. And I even tell them that they will say it is expensive. And I will say it is much less expensive than the money that you give year after year to the oil and gas industry.
Okay, he's just bloviating. I don't even need to listen to the rest of it. Make a bunch of demands. He's like, what is it? They want the old age pension to go up by 10%. They want a bunch of other things.
He had 4 demands last year, and he's added 2 more. And the 2 more are the ones that he wants. The 2 new demands are, he wants $871 million from Ottawa to cover the tab on the last carbon payments. So he
Right.
feels
So
feels that
he wants Alberta to pay for this.
yeah, he feels that, well, I wasn't able to make the because they have a different carbon tax system, right? They don't have a carbon tax in Quebec. They have a carbon credit system. And he's like, well, when you took away the carbon tax, you sewered my carbon credit system, and so therefore I want compensation for that. So he wants 870 million for that one. And then he wants interest-free loans for first-time home buyers in Quebec.
But here's the thing.
Like,
Here's the thing. The Liberals, they want to hang on to power. They don't care. They're happy to spend money. If the Liberals will come to a compensation deal with Quebec to get their votes. The Conservatives, maybe they'll do that, but they're less likely to do that, and that's why the Bloc is not gonna give the Conservatives an opportunity to win a new election or win a majority and become the government. That's not in their interest, in my perspective.
yeah, but the Conservatives don't face a minority vote right now. I mean, this is because we have a minority government. So the Conservatives, the Bloc is playing their cards. I don't think they'll defeat the government because, like you said, if they defeat the government, I'm pretty sure at this point that the next government would be Conservative, and then the Blocs would not get their deal. In fact, I don't even think the Bloc would survive the election either. So nobody. I mean, I do believe the polls. The polls after the last time were real, and so if we went to the polls tomorrow morning, I think people will hate Carney enough already, and have been burned, and have learned their lesson quickly enough that we might actually. It'd be an interesting. What am I saying? It'd be an interesting election because Poilievre's not that popular either. I mean, like
Nope.
they're not. They're both, they're both getting 40% of the popular vote because they're the only two options. It literally is that. It's not like it. I've come to that realization. We just don't have very good leaders right now anywhere in the country.
And
So-
you know what? Actually, Kevin O'Leary, he had the same sentiment. He was on a podcast just recently, and he said just that. He just said, we just need someone to have a mandate. So we need to have an election so that one of them, I don't care which one,
Yeah.
gets to be a majority government.
yeah.
I would prefer to have one of them have a majority mandate for the next 4 years. They need a majority mandate. So my advice to Carney is call another election. You're in a high spot right now. And this is not against Pierre. It's nothing. It's country first, not random guy first. It's country first.
Sure.
And what's great, it doesn't matter who I voted for. What matters is that we give a mandate to someone we think is competent, that has executional skills. And I think that's Carney. And give him a mandate where he doesn't have to, bow to opposition parties that may have different agenda. The agenda is Canada right now for the next 4 years. If he fails on that mandate, doesn't get capital back in the country, and I'm just one advocate for bringing it back, and believe me, all the sovereign wealth funds that used to invest 2.5% of their mandate in Canada have stopped doing that. We'll know when they feel comfortable, because it's 10 years of brain damage from the idiot king and queen. And so that's going to be very difficult to get over. But I'm not against Pierre. I'm just saying either give
Yeah,
Pierre
but,
a majority
but-
mandate.
In the same, but in the same token, in the same podcast, he called Pierre a loser. Like
Sure,
he said,
and-
forget
and-
it. You're
and-
you lost.
and
You're a
then-
loser.
I mean, yes, I'm not in favor of a minority government. I think we're kind of stalled right now, but at the same time, I do see what the Liberals have on their agenda, and it scares the shit out of me, right? Like the
Yeah.
Liberals are the only, like Carney talked on live TV today, and he basically said, I'm bringing down immigration rates. He followed it up by a whole bunch of bullshit, but he did mention a few good points. He passed a vote last week. Sure, he voted against the Conservatives' bill on tougher bail, and then he passed it himself. So, but behind the scenes, he still had. If you look at Bill C9 and C10 and C2, there's some bad shit that the Liberals are trying to pass. So
Yeah, you want them to have a mandate?
no, I don't want them to have a mandate. I want the government, I want them to collaborate with each other instead. Show me that you can collaborate. And right now, I don't see anything
I don't
that.
like collaborations that are taking place in this government, because what did we get with the collaborations? We got Bill S202, which is codifying into law that the the dairy lobby can't be negotiated out of existence when it comes to trade deals. So that monopoly is going to exist forever until that bill is repealed. They have Bill C5, which is codifying central authority in Canada. So it's taking away autonomy from the provinces. This is gross. And the Conservatives, when they get along with the Liberals, we get bigger government. We get more government. So
yeah.
Either way, it's just like it's the slow burn or the fast burn. Which are we gonna get?
But yeah, we got the fact that we have so many things to talk about this week, it proves what we said last week. It is getting very interesting. We have September, October, November, my friend, are going to be interesting. The budget's going to be interesting. I mean, and by the way, just a reminder to everybody listening too, everything that's been mentioned by the Liberals in the last month, like, we're going to hire 1,000 more CBSA agents, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. None of that is happening. These are all promises. Like, we're going to create a new office to do this. Nope, you got no money to do that. You can appoint so-and-so, but these things are all promises that have to come out of the budget. And right now, the budget is like out of control spending. And as it stands, it'll like, we got
Marty,
some.
how are they going to fund all this spending when people are losing their jobs? And we're getting more government jobs. Yeah, that's a thing. But look at the auto sector in Ontario, for example.
And this is plant today.
This is crazy. And what is the reaction? Well, Doug Ford having a hissy fit on national television. That's the response here.
I heard that the president heard our ad. I'm sure he wasn't too happy, but it's real because it was coming.
Oh, this is his response. Sorry, wrong video. I queued up the wrong one.
That's not the Stellantis. Yeah.
That's not the Stellantis one. But
no, sorry. The
plants.
One that closed today is the GM plant. Today, GM announced they're closing the electric van factory in Ingersoll.
That's correct. So we lost, Stellantis closed one, GM's closing one, GM closed another one a couple of weeks ago. They're all moving down to the United States. This is the way it's going. And Donald Trump's proud of it. He's absolutely proud of this. He's been tweeting about it on Truth Social. In fact, this is what he had to say. He said, Mary Barra of General Motors and Bill Ford of Ford Motor Company just called me to thank me for putting tariffs on mid-size and large-size trucks. Their stock has gone through the roof. They told me that without tariffs, it would have been a very hard, long slog for trucks and car manufacturers in the United States. I told them it's very simple. This is a national security matter with the tariffs. We have a strong and powerful economy and country. Without them, we have the exact opposite. Well, without them, they are not including themselves in the Canadian economy, it looks like, anymore, because they're moving their manufacturing outside of the country. Now, to thwart this, Doug Ford made an ad, and this kind of segues into that. And this was him talking about the ad. I'll show the ad, and then I'll show him talking about it. Here we go.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Yeah, Ontario, Canada. This cost $75 million to put into the United States. Now, you saw that it was that was Ronald Reagan's voice. Now, something to be clear on this one. Watch the video. Watch the original video of Ronald Reagan giving this speech. The context was cut out of it. The context of this speech by Ronald Reagan, believe it or not, is that Japan in the 1980s was putting unfair trade restrictions on American manufacturing, or it was silicon chips. There was a trade imbalance there, and the United States decided to put tariffs on Japan for acting unfairly, and he was giving his rationale behind not wanting to have a trade war with Japan, but needing to put tariffs on Japan anyhow. So that context is all lost, because if you put that into today's context, it would be Canada has a ton of trade barriers, so we're reluctantly putting we're putting tariffs on Canada. That's all gone. Nonetheless, Doug Ford giving the press, talking to the press about making this ad.
I heard that the president heard our ad. I'm sure he wasn't too happy, but it's real because it was coming from the best president the country's ever seen, Ronald Reagan. So it's very effective. It's probably one of the best ads I've ever seen, and it's coming from Ronald Reagan's voice, and it's going to be focused right across the country, but also in Republican-held areas, because what I feel, the Reagan Republicans are going to be fighting with the MAGA group, and let's hope Reagan Republicans win. I heard that.
he's tugging at the heartstrings of Reagan Republicans by misrepresenting Reagan's words and trying to spin it and gaslight them. What a passive-aggressive, crappy Canadian thing for him to do.
And he fancies himself a statesman and an academic and a brilliant economist at the same time. Like, Dougie. Holy shit, man. No, like... Look at the stock market. Look at the letters that, like you said, like that you read. Look at, like, Americans aren't going to give a shit about some advertising, like some Super Bowl advertising. Like it's not even.
No, and especially when they get a whiff of, especially when they get a whiff of what this guy's all about. This ad brought to you by the guy who banned American alcohol from Ontario, threatened to ban Canadian whiskey over about 100 jobs, threatened to shut power off to American homes in the middle of winter, supports the dairy cartel. Good luck with your ad, Doug. Like, this is so insane that, like, you can smell it a mile away, and he thinks he's going to be successful with this. This is a losing strategy. Yeah. What is Ontario going to do when the last automotive job has left the province?
Which is pretty soon at this rate. Like, they've lost so many jobs. Well, I don't even. I won't even go there. I mean, I'm already talking too much about Ontario as if I cared. I honestly, like, you know, like, to be honest, I really don't. Like, I don't want to wish them ill or bad, but at this point, I'm kind of saying this repeatedly over and over and over. You get the government that you deserve. You voted for this, Ontario, so I'm not gonna, like. I mean, I'll take a chance. I'll take a chance that I might get the same kind of nastiness, you know, down the road. We might, our product might fall out of favor, and we might be going down the wrong path. But if we are, we're not doing it as deliberately and as blatantly as Dougie's been doing it. I mean, like, you know, that's where I'm at. I don't want to slam Ontario any more than I have lately. Actually, here, let's slam Ontario let's do one funny joke real quick. We should have queued these up. There were so many stories. Queue up this. Go to Twitter's, go to the Canada Border Security Agency, and you made me think of this. Go see what they tweeted about catching the guy with the somebody, whoever's running the Canada Border Security Agency account. They need to get somebody else. Remember, right? 2 weeks ago, CBSA tweeted out that they caught a guy coming across the border with 2 Rolexes. Ooh, like, and this is all in light of, like, Carney announced today, you know, like, we're hiring 1,000 more agents to make the border safer. So 2 weeks ago, you got a Canada Border Security agent stop somebody with 2 Rolexes. Last week, they proudly tweeted about the fact that they're stopping the importation of paper plates. And look at what they tweeted about today.
I can't find it. What am I looking for? CBSA ad?
No, CBSA on Twitter. CBSA man with... what did he have? Too many packs of cigarettes or whatever? Like, oh... Let me find it on mine. Talk about something else. I'll elevate it to the top of mine. It's just too freaking.
Okay. You find that. One I wanted to bring up was just the craziness surrounding Donald Trump trying to make a new ballroom in the White House, because that's just a ridiculous thing. So they're losing their mind over this. And So the thing is, the ballroom's going to cost about $200 million. It's part of the White House. They're not gonna half-ass it, right? They're gonna build this huge thing. Right out of the gates,
And
though,
they're getting sponsors, kind of. They're getting people to help.
That's the spoiler, right? So they're making it sound like Donald Trump's
sorry.
spending all of the Americans' tax-earned dollars and saying like, "What was the point of Doge?" And then he goes and does this. Well, here's the clip here with this is the contrast between Schumer and Levitt telling the actual story of what's going on here.
Here's even something more confounding. Some breaking news. Just now, the White House announced construction of a $200 million White House ballroom that will begin in September. A $200 million ballroom. Where'd this money come from? Did Congress appropriate it? I don't think so. It's almost like Doge was never about waste at all.
President Trump and other donors have generously committed to donating the funds necessary to build this approximately $200 million structure.
Here's even
Yeah. So it's philanthropy. It's so amazing that they're playing this. Now, mind you, the Democrats have got the government shut down because they don't want to go along with the bills that are happening. Namely, the one we talked about last week, where they're trying to make it so illegal immigrants can get free medical. And have it paid for by the federal tax dollars through the states, through these amnesty bills. It's crazy. It's not going to happen. And now what's funny, Donald Trump, his approval rating has actually gone up during this shutdown. It's amazing.
I saw that on the news today. I sort of glanced over it. And by the way, $200 million, like, that's nothing, man. Like, that's nothing. Like,
for these big tycoons, yeah. But
we're getting
there's
ready
a bunch
to
of
build
people that are going to get a plaque with their name on it in the ballroom.
Yeah.
Awesome for them.
I live in Calgary, where thank God we got rid of Jody Gondik. But I live in Calgary, like near Calgary, where like they were talking about extending like the Green Line for the transit and adding like 4 stations for $6.5 billion freaking dollars. Like, Clyde, actually, let me put this into context. I live in the country, and about 4 roads away from where I live, there's actually an intersection that's somehow becoming busy these days. So the county did a study to see how much it would cost to put a light at that intersection. And I think they're just thinking of a blinking red light so that you'd slow down. $1 million. $1 million. One light at an intersection in Canada is $1 million freaking dollars. So if Donald Trump can build a ballroom for $200 million with the help of some friends, good on you, Donald. Like, it'll serve nice. Like, folks, he's working for you. Don't get mad at the guy. Like, he's working. Actually, that is
not to mention
funny,
all
right?
the stuff that he's done, right? Like, we were talking about this before we got chatting. He's moving on. And he's getting the next thing done. You're talking about things that he's accomplished, like 5 days ago. He's like, that's a week ago, man. Peace deal in the Middle East. That's a week ago. No, I got stuff I'm still working on.
Have you seen Gaza's already looking better? I mean, they've already got the bulldozers in there, and they already got the crews with the sod. It's going to be pretty. Like in about, give it a month, it'll be really pretty.
Oh, I can't believe I'm laughing at that. Okay, let's get this story about the CBSA.
Yeah,
you explain this to me.
Line. I put it at the. So, like the CBSA, that's the Canada Border Security Agency. So today, Carney announces he's hiring 1,000 more border security agents to make this the border safer. They've been posting this kind of nonsense for weeks now. Like 2 weeks ago, they had a whole post about how they stopped a guy with 2 Rolexes. Last week, it was they're investigating paper plates coming into Canada and and plastic straws. And today, they're all proud of this. Like, they seized more than 25 bottles of undeclared alcohol and
25.
Like,
25.
When my family goes to visit my mother-in-law in Costa Rica, okay, she makes us bring 5 bottles of Crown Royal, which is what we're allowed to bring duty-free. So when we go there, with 4 people, we're getting off the plane with 20 bottles of Crown Royal. This guy, like, if somebody brought 25 bottles of booze in a trailer, I really don't give a shit. Like, this is not the stuff that's keeping Canada safer. So, my comment to this was like, whoever's running the Canada Border Security Agency, well, you know who's running this?
And
Probably
$10,000 of undeclared currency. That happens all the time.
Who
People who
cares?
just don't know the rules of like how much you can take over. Seriously, like if you're crossing, it's $999 Canadian. That's all you can bring over.
There you go. I
Or
mean,
9,999. That's what you can do.
like we don't need. This is another example. We don't need more people. We need more people. We need people to do their job proper, right?
Yes.
Meanwhile,
Meanwhile, the precursors for bad stuff is getting in, and we have cartels operating and shipping in and out of this country with all kinds of stuff. CBSA turning a blind eye, the RCMP turning a blind eye. By the way, Pierre Poilievre getting in crap for the thing that he said about
the RCMP.
The RCMP. I wish he would have had this same rhetoric during the election. It's always like when it doesn't matter that Pierre is very bold and talks about this stuff, but he refused to apologize. I haven't even seen this clip. I just saw it on the Plebs timeline. Let me pop this up. This is Pierre refusing to apologize for his comments about the RCMP commissioner.
Saying the former prime minister should be in jail.
That's not what I said.
Well,
That's not
what
what I
I
said.
heard. What did you say
That's not
then?
what I said.
Repeat what you said.
Sure, I'll tell you what I said. I was asked about the scandals of the last 10 years of the Liberal government, and what would I do if such scandals and corruption were to happen when I become Prime Minister? And I said I would have zero tolerance for corruption. Nobody is above the law. So if I could, in certain cases, I think there were scandals in the Liberal government that would be appropriately punished in that way. You think of the Green Slush Fund, where individuals were appointed to a board to manage public funds. And what did they do with it? They gave it to themselves. To me, that is a crime for which they should have been held responsible. People have got to be held responsible for corruption. And if you look at my remarks, that's what I said. We will hold people accountable for corruption.
Rabble, rabble, rabble. They're all mad.
The re-scandal was corruption.
Absolutely.
Whoever signed the
SNC
deal,
Lavalin,
SNC Lavalin, arrived scam, man. Like whoever gave those freaks the $250 million to do nothing, that's fraud.
Yes,
and then
they walked, and this is why I tweeted out, and I got a lot of haters for this one. I said, when it comes to that security clearance that they're always pushing, I jumped on your bandwagon, what you mentioned before. Just get it, and then blab about it. Get the security clearance, learn who the 11 traitors are, and then just blab it. What are they going to do? Arrest you? And everyone says, yeah, they'll totally arrest him because he's conservative. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I doubt it whatsoever. Just get in there, get the info, blab it out to the media, and then we can move on. At least have investigations. Not one of them is going to get reprimanded, kicked out of Parliament, or go to jail for being traitors to the country.
No, they all move on and they all stay low in the next little while. Like I'm waiting to see where, as an example, where's Randy Boissonneau or the other Randy? Where's Randy going to show up? Right? I mean, he's an example.
Mendocino, where is he going to show up? They will all show up somewhere.
Yep. So yeah, no, it's actually. Where do you want to go next? I had another story.
Open.
What's that?
We're open. Let's go.
Let's go to. We were talking about we just need people doing a better job, not more people. Here's a perfect example of that. So yesterday, Canada's Auditor General published a report on the audit that it did of the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency.
Okay.
So the auditor, maybe, I don't know if you want to find a page of it. I'm sure you can find it. Just find anything, because everybody's laughing at this. Like, everybody's laughing at this. The big joke of that one is look up a CRA is correct 17% of the time. Just look that up. So while you do that, so the Auditor General, that's, Canada has an Auditor General who picks a file once in a while and just goes and checks how things are doing. So the Auditor General audited the Canada Revenue Agency. The Canada Revenue Agency only answers yours and I's questions correctly 17% of the time. So what they did for this is they hired like people to call the CRA and ask questions, and then they evaluated how they answered the questions. I think they had like 500 people ask questions, and they got the answer right 17% of the time. So you and I call, we get it wrong because our tax code is so complicated. We're hiring people that are incompetent, and then they give us bad information. So then we keep filing and calling more people. We call more often, and because we're calling, the phone lines are plugged, which is another one of their metrics. The CRA has a mandate to answer your and I's call within 15 minutes. They're supposed to try and do it. Their target is to answer us within 15 minutes, 65% of the time. They're doing it like 20% of the time. So then people are like, so the Auditor General starts and looks and says, okay, well, these guys aren't doing very well. And he digs further. The Auditor General found that the average CRA employee is evaluated on only about 10% of their evaluation is based on their performance of answering questions from the public and giving good information. The other 90% of their evaluation is like how polite they are, how well they're meeting DEI targets, how they're blah blah, like
how not white they are.
Being evaluated on things that don't. Yeah, they're being evaluated on how white they are and how polite they are and how often they go to work with blue hair. Meanwhile, how they actually do their job sucks. They can't be fired. The problem keeps getting compounded. And that was the other thing Carney says this week. Oh, well, we're going to hire... Well, what did Louis-Philippe Champagne say this week? He said it again. We're going to create a new department. So this is the fourth new department now, right? So we got the procurement department for defense, the major projects department. What was the other crazy new one? The housing department. And now Philippe Champagne's going to create a department to look into fraud. Our own government is going to investigate fraud. Even the journalists are almost laughing on the Hill going like, let me get this straight. So you guys, the biggest crooks, are going to investigate fraud. Okay, how's that going to go?
And I'm sure they'll find lots of it.
Yeah, and then they said, well, you already have FinTrack, and you already have all these groups. And he's like, oh, no, we need something better. And then in the next sentence, he's like, we'll take the best of those groups and bring them over to this department. Like, they're just...
Wow.
They're just spinning. They're just spinning. Yeah.
RCMP is supposed to be doing that, and when we get whistleblowers from CSIS talking about it, they ignore that. But if you're going to listen to stories about taxpayers, well, why not listen to the Taxpayer Federation? Here's Franco Terrazzano talking about exactly that.
Breaking news, a report from the Auditor General is damning about the CRA. Okay, it found that the CRA is giving individual taxpayers the right answer just 17% of the time. Think about it, okay? When individual Canadians are asking questions about their own taxes, the CRA is only giving the right answer 17% of the time.
Wow.
And when people are asking the CRA about their business taxes, well, it's a flip of a coin on whether or not they'll get the right answer from the CRA. And even then, the CRA is not giving a complete response. So again, breaking news, crazy report from the Auditor General where the CRA is giving the right answer to Canadians asking about their individual taxes only 17% of the time.
This is insane because, what if you call them up and ask them a question about the legality of should I file my taxes this way or that way, or what should I pay this, and you get it wrong, you're on the hook and you're going to go to jail over the tax fraud or evasion.
First of all, you only have like a 20% chance of them answering you in 15 minutes. And then if they answer you, then you get only a 17% chance that you'll get the right answer. So then you're going to act accordingly, and you're going to...
Oh, we lost your audio, sorry. But then we also, it would be, maybe a 15% chance that you can understand their accent from some other place in the planet that they're from. Because I'm sure with the DEI circuit and our immigration, the way it's been working these days, I'm sure you're going to get lots of Canadians on the other side of the line there. This is crazy. This is unbelievable. Oh, you're still gone. The audio's still gone. I don't know. Still, yeah, it jumped out. We're waiting for Marty to get another computer, which is going to be, I think, on his Christmas list this year. and get that so that we don't have the skipping audio.
This only
There we go,
happens
you're
when
back.
I'm doing a podcast. It only happens when I'm doing a podcast with you. Like I do shows with a whole bunch of other people, and the problem is at your end. You're sucking too much data out of me or something. I don't know what it is.
Do I have to lower? Maybe I have to lower the resolution. I got it at 1080p. Maybe I gotta go down to 720. Maybe that's what it is.
We'll make it work. And it happens
Yeah.
when I talk too much. I'll talk less.
Well, where do we need to go? Because I don't know if we're gonna get to every single story, but like,
Well, we're running out of time, but the last story I wanted to talk about is, part of the budget is we're like one of the things Carney talked about.
lost the audio again. Sorry, this is happening. One of the last things that Mark Carney wanted to talk about. We're gonna get to it, but in the meantime, I guess one of the big stories that broke this week, and I covered it this morning, was the fact that people in British Columbia are losing their homes, or potentially might be losing their homes. This made American news, not the Bee reporting on this one. Canadian city tells disarmed citizenry, because we're not allowed to defend ourselves anymore. Their homes belong to Native tribes after a pivotal court ruling, ramifications across the country. And what happened was, British Columbia mayor of Richmond, he sent out a letter to the folks of his own city and said, we need to get together and figure this out, because there needs to be a court challenge. They're about to take your property away. Welcome to Richmond, British Columbia, a suburb of Metro Vancouver. Hardly a suburb. It's like right in the city. Chris Billboard saying, did you work your whole life to buy that $2 million home near Vancouver? Too bad. Your home is no longer yours. Brittany saying, congrats. You worked your whole life to buy a home, but someone's great-grandparents might have fished there nearly 150 years ago. So the court says, not really yours. Welcome to British Columbia. Do you think it'll stop in Richmond? Probably not. This is across the board, happening everywhere. It's insane.
That's a bad story. The unfortunate thing is that in this country we are a precedent society, right? A law system. So this sets a precedent. So people can try and do this. I mean, it's a small area. It's like 7 square miles of prime real estate near Richmond, but it still sets a bad precedent. Like, imagine trying to get a mortgage near there in the future if you're British Columbian. The bank's going to say, ooh, not sure we want to give you money because you can't use your land as collateral because the government can take it away from you. And it also...
Well, not just the government. Natives can come in and take it away from you.
Yeah. No, it's... we're rushing through stories. We can talk about this story during the question and answer. The other one I wanted to talk about was the military spending in the submarines. We announced today that we're going to buy like 6 to 12 submarines. We have no history of... Every time we've operated submarines in this country has been disastrous for us. So why we would buy submarines, I have no idea. The only reason I can think of is to launder more money. Like
what, in the submarines? Oh,
yeah. You buy submarines and then you go, there's my submarines. And everybody goes, where? I don't see them. It's like, oh, they're underwater. You can't see them.
Man, just new clever ways of just spending our money on nothing.
I bought submarines. I bought submarines. A space station. What else would we buy?
Anything that's just not visible. We got a lot of the CO2 out of the air. Can you show us?
Yeah, exactly.
Have a look. It's gone. That's exactly it. And then the last thing I really wanted to touch base on for today was the story about John Rustad in British Columbia. Ooh. This has been something that's kind of like, it's been stewing. For those that don't know, John Rustad is the leader of the Conservatives in British Columbia. He brought the Conservatives into popularity
so
close. And then as soon as they lost the election,
unraveled.
What the hell, man? What the hell's been going on? First, he kicks out one of his MLAs from the party for saying something against Natives, making up stories and pretending that they're real. Again, all you got to do is pull one bone out of the ground and everybody would shut up about it. But we don't believe that this actually occurred. Well, you can't say that if you want to be a conservative. Conservative values like evidence and all of this, not allowed. Then kicked out a staffer, probably world famous staffer, Lindsay Shepherd, who was famous for almost losing her freedom of speech in Waterloo in her university days, became famous over that and was working for the Conservatives as a staffer, fired over her words in the legislature on Twitter. Actually, she was just on her personal account talking about how the Native issue is full of lies. There's a bunch of untruths, like things that are provably not true about the Canadian story and history, and she was fired over it. Now, because there's such a backlash over this, they want to kick John Rustad out of the party. They want him gone.
Well,
This is the letter that went out breaking. The BC Conservative Party Management Committee has written a letter calling John Rustad to resign, citing the unprecedented level of turmoil that has engulfed the party. I mean, I don't need to read the letter. It's pretty straightforward. It's signed by most of them, and they want him out.
Yep.
What do you say to that?
Can you find Wyatt's clip on that? His post on that? It was funny. He had a good comment. Hey, John, I mean, and I had a serious comment about that. Like, in Alberta here, we are famous for firing leaders. And people always say, like, you know, they think that that's reckless on our part to fire leaders. No, it's not. Like, we're still a pretty prosperous province. We've done extremely well. And so if firing leaders was a bad idea, you'd think that we'd suffer the consequences. But we've had no problem over, you know, we haven't had, I think out of the 7 premiers we've had in this country, only like 2 or 3 started or finished a term properly without being fired. So we have a history of doing that, and it works for us. And I'm glad that there's, you know, it's sad that Rustad didn't work out, but I'd rather see him gone and start again.
Is this the one Wyatt Claypool saying,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
support
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Rustad staying on as BC Conservative leader? 1, because it's funny, and 2, because it's great for One BC, which is the new party that's starting out of the wake of
The
this.
ashes, or
number 3, it is a big I told you so to all the Rustad loyalists who gave him dictatorial powers at the AGM. Yeah, crazy. Crazy.
Topic. Yeah, we didn't talk about the Conservative AGM. We can talk about the Pierre Poilievre AGM during the chat, because AGMs are important, right? Wyatt makes a good point. You guys gave a lot of power to Rustad. We gave a lot of power to Danielle Smith, and I hate that. That's scary, right? That's very scary. You give a politician a lot of power, and we talked about that earlier. There's good and bad to giving a mandate to somebody.
Well, we'll talk about it in the Q&A. We are running out of time. So, Marty, where can people find you? They'll find you because you're silent and you can't say anything right now. Go over, click the links in the description down below. Find Marty over on Twitter and find him over on X. You're back.
That's the problem. So when I talk too much, the mic is going in overload, and then the talking, I can do it as an experiment. If I just keep talking, I'm going to lose the mic. Find me on X.